Hey, welcome to New Jump City, everybody, where we recap the week in American and Japanese sequential art. I am your host, Christian, the unbiased king. Still no soundboard. I'm still figuring that out. I'm very sorry. But also joining me today, it is the man, the myth, the legend, my partner in crime. It is the Tank Top Sage. It's Joshua. Gangsta time go. Josh? Are you muted? Josh? Hello?
Yeah. Oh, wow. I was muted on a different screen. That's crazy. Damn it.
Damn it, dude.
I know. I'm all right. It's hard. I wish I would send you a screenshot, but it's not that serious. I was unmuted on Discord, but I was muted on like the iPhone Discord thing.
Oh, yeah, that's weird.
Shit. All right.
It's all right, bud. But you're here. Brian is not here right now due to unforeseen circumstances. The edgelord big news Brian couldn't make it this time, but we'll have some thoughts relayed from him later on. But yeah, we got a very short week this week, so we're gonna tackle our mains this week, which is basically 3 series, and we're gonna get into some questions from the crowd that are long overdue. But until then, let's not waste any time. Let's get some plugs going. You can find me at the Chris Espinal on Twitter and Instagram. Joshua Cole, where can they find you?
At JD Cole_37. That's on Instagram. And at New Jump City Josh, that's on Twitter.
Oh, yeah. Brian, you can find him at b.esp on Twitter and Instagram. He also streams on twitch.tv/It's Punchline sometimes to watch him play Valorant. He's really into Valorant these days. So check that out. You could email the show itself you follow the show itself at New Jump City on Twitter and Instagram, and also TikTok. So do all that. Email us at newjumpcitypod@gmail.com with any questions, suggestions, anything you guys want us to talk about, and we will answer them on the show as we are doing today. Subscribe to us on YouTube, please. We haven't posted there in a minute because I am still working from my temporary workstation. So there haven't been many video versions of the pod being made yet, but please subscribe nonetheless, and we'll be back as soon as I get a new computer, which is hopefully sooner rather than later. Good computers are hard to come by, but yeah, check us out on those. And if you, for the time being, if you prefer audio podcasts anyway, we are pretty much everywhere you can listen to on Spotify, iTunes. Please consider subscribing to us on audio-only platforms for now, because that is where we have been posting for the last couple of weeks. I'm going to find a way to get the stuff onto YouTube. It'll probably be a still image type of mode, just because we are low on video capability right now. But yeah, subscribe to us there. Like, share, subscribe, all the other stuff that we did on there. And yeah, that's it. Let's get into the show proper. Spoiler alerts ahead. We are going to start with One Piece. This is One Piece chapter 1080, The Hero of Legend. And man, when you talk about heroes in One Piece, they can only mean one man. You know what time it is.
Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, there is one guy who's regarded as like the naval hero. And we're about to see him in action. But before we get to there, we open the chapter on the pirate island Fullaled in the New World. And we come in pretty hot in this chapter as it's revealed to us that Koby, who has been kidnapped by the Blackbeard pirates, has currently escaped his custody on Fullaled and is now on the run. So every pirate on this island is now gunning to find Koby as he is running around the island. we see that the island itself starts talking. Uh, and that was crazy to see. Because there's this big skull-shaped mountain on Full Lead that just starts talking, and he's like, I something's tickling around my left pec. And he mentions that that's where the slaves are heading to Meowrkit.
Oh, he. I just realized that the skull itself was moving and talking.
Yeah. It was literally like you could see the mouth opening.
I thought they were inside
No,
of the skull or something.
I mean the skull's a mountain, so they are. I don't know if they're inside it, but they're there. And it turns out, based on the other pirates conversating with the Skull Mountain, it is actually they are actually talking to Pizarro, which is one of the impelled down inmates that has escaped during the Marineford War and is now on Blackbeard's ship. And
Very cool.
fucking awesome. We see that all of them are asking for permission to hunt Kobe and the slaves that he seems to have freed that were on Full Lead. And Pizarro basically says, "Don't even think about it. Don't kill Kobe. Just bring them back and bring them all back alive, or he'll tell Teach about this." And we cut to Kobe, who is in the middle of escaping with what seems to be a bunch of slaves that were being kept on this island. We get the shots of the other members of Blackbeard's crew. We see Shiryu is still on Full Lead. And obviously we know that he is the current wielder of the clear fruit, which was Absalom's old fruit from Thriller Bark. And now he has it now. But we do see that Avarlo Pizarro, the corrupt king, his ability is the Isle fruit, which means he's an island man, which I think he could just like merge with any island that he's on. It's very similar to Pika's power from Dressrosa, which, you know, I guess it's a smart way to use that power that's actually pretty useful and cool for a villain. So I'm not mad at it. And then we see on a bubble, there is Vasco Shot, the heavy drinker who has the Glug Glug fruit, meaning he's a booze man.
I love how they put heavy drinker.
Yeah, that's his nickname. I think a heavy drinker. Because, Shiryu of the Rain, Avarlo Pizarro is the corrupt king, and Vasco Shot is the heavy drinker. He has the Glug Glug fruit, which I guess he can make these bubbles probably out of alcohol and ride them. And that's like a component of his ability. And they're just he's going after Kobe right now. So, and Avarlo tells him to like chill. Don't you dare. No fire's going out of control. Teach will be furious if you go and cause too much trouble. And he explains that they've only finished repairing Rocky Port, which the famous Rocky Port incident that we've been hearing so much about over the course of the series that Law was involved with. It was actually on this island, I guess, Full of Lead, which was the event. Like we see that Law, I think, helped Blackbeard take down the previous ruler of this island, and which instilled Blackbeard into power and gave Law the title of Warlord. So that's interesting. We see San Juan Wolf is also there, who also known as the Great Battleship. He has the huge fruit. So he's a gigantification man, which obviously means, I guess, he just increases his size and so forth. So I guess he's not
a giant.
I guess not, unless he is a giant that ate this fruit and made him, and like that allows himself to get even bigger. Is he making these snot bubbles that this guy's riding on? I thought that. Yeah, he is, bro. Ew.
That's pretty gross.
Vasco, Blackbeard's pirates are gross.
Yeah,
that tears it. They're all gross. But yeah, San Juan Wolf is also on the island. He's just chilling. He's just sleeping, taking up like several city blocks on this island. Sleeping on it.
Yeah, this really helped kind of create the scale, you know, give us, you know, seeing him stand on the ocean floor was impressive, but this also is like he's literally laying on a neighborhood.
Yeah, for real. It's pretty crazy. Um, we then cut to Kobe just like evading the pirates of Fullaled. Um, and we get a flashback from his perspective of when he first arrived on Fullaled. And we learn that the reason that Blackbeard actually kidnapped him in the first place was to use Kobe's life as a bargaining chip to get the world government to consider Fullaled its own nation that is affiliated with the world government. And he's gonna call it the
Dude,
Blackbeard Kingdom, and he'll be king of this island.
he is giant. He is massive, yo. Look at Kobe compared to him.
Yeah, Blackbeard's a big guy. He's a big boy.
I don't know why, like that's so. It's I've always loved that part of One Piece, like how they make these characters like some characters are just huge, and not because they're giants or that's because of their genetic race or anything. They're just large.
Yeah, some people are just 9 feet tall in this world, casually. Like I think Doflamingo, I think Brook is 9 feet tall. So
Oh,
yeah, I think like Jinbei is 10 feet tall. I know like Oda has like specific heights for every character, basically. Um, I think Luffy's like 5'11". So I don't know what he has for Blackbeard, but he's a big boy too. Anyway, so yeah, Blackbeard's pretty stoked about turning Fullaled into its own country, using Kobe as a bargaining chip. And Kobe's like, actually, that's not going to work. Like, first of all, the government would never just do that. You know, he's not gonna. They're not gonna make this island of pirates an actual world government recognized state. But on top of that, it won't work specifically. Like, I'm not a good hostage because I'm a member of Sword, and we've obviously heard this before. We've seen Sword as kind of this covert, uh, deep state kind of organization from the world government, but we never really knew what it meant. And Aokiji is in the room, and he actually breaks it down for Blackbeard what that even means. As Blackbeard's like, is that supposed to mean something? And Aokiji tells him right away, he's like, well, actually, he's right. Then, you know, in that case, he's not going to be worth anything. He explains that Kobe is as a member of Sword, Kobe is Navy, but he's not Navy. He's basically Sword is a group of people who have submitted their resignation form, so to speak. They're not official members of the Navy anymore, technically, but they are still allowed, for the most part, to operate as Marines, unless something goes wrong or they become compromised, and then the government can pretty much just cut ties with them and not take responsibility for any actions. So it's kind of like a vigilante force separate from the world government and not really controlled by them or, you know, obligated to follow any orders from any government official. It seems even by the five elders themselves don't really have jurisdiction over what Sword does. So
very convenient.
hey, it makes sense, I guess, considering who I think is supposed to be like the leader of Sword, as we'll see. So Blackbeard's like, I see what you're saying. All right, that's kind of cool, but I'm not changing my plans. I'll take this tactic as far as it goes because it may sound like it won't work, but Kobe's kind of a different case because he's like a hero. He's like someone like the Marines take some kind of pride in. So they're not, even though he's part of Sword, which is this clandestine thing, they're not just going to let him go so easy. So, you know, we'll just see how this goes, basically. He's like, it may not work, but who cares? And then we get to see how Kobe actually made his escape, and Perona appeared on Fullaled and busted him out, which is interesting. Because Perona was with Mihawk. So I don't know if this was like a cross guild move to free Kobe after, like, you know, just to let him go and cause problems. But she releases Kobe under the condition that he frees Gecko Moria from the cell in the back. So we may see Moria again in a big capacity. And I'm wondering if he still has his powers because, like the Blackbeard pirates have been removing people's powers left and right. So last we heard about Moria, he was actually like being recruited by Blackbeard, but it seems that Perona is confirming that he's in a cell, so he may have actually declined the offer to join the Blackbeard pirates. So that's interesting. I can't wait to see how that little moment plays out. But Kobe's running around, and then he just sees an explosion in the distance, and then he's like, "Whoa, what's going on over there?" He puts on this face like, maybe someone came to rescue me? No, that's stupid. No one would come for me. I'm arrogant. I'm ashamed of myself. I guess it's a cute little moment there. But we do see that he is indeed right. It looks like members of Sword have descended upon the island of Fulaled and are now fighting to get Kobe back. One of the pirates beheads one of the Sword members, but then he just like glorps into this weird clay substance, and everybody's like, "Whoa, it's clay!" And elsewhere, this building is moving just like on its own, and the people are like, "Is that building moving?" And they see that there's this woman in the distance just whipping this building and like telling it to keep moving, and the building seems to be moving at the whims of this woman who's whipping it. And they look over, and it's revealed that this woman, her name is Kujaku, and she's the granddaughter of Suru, who you may know as the Wash Wash Lady. I don't know if you remember her,
No.
Josh. She's the one who turns people like into laundry. Like she hangs them
No.
on clotheslines. If you want to
Okay,
Google it,
then.
if you want to Google Suru, she's definitely been in the series before, and we have seen her turn people into like laundry on a clothing line. You know what I mean? Like when you hang stuff up to dry.
Wow.
Well, that's her granddaughter. And yeah, she has the ability of the whip fruit. She's a disciplined woman. So I guess that means by whipping things, she can make them follow her will. That's pretty interesting.
Even inanimate objects.
Yeah, I guess because she's using it on a building and the building is actually moving. That's crazy. Um but yeah, we then cut back to Kobe, who is now surrounded by a bajillion pirates, and they start to open fire all at the same time because I guess these pirates aren't stupid. They're not these types that are going to go after Kobe one at a time. So they
Yeah.
all shoot simultaneously, but flowers come out, and this was built up. If you remember in the cover page, Vegapunk invented these bullets that turn, or like this weapon that turns bullets into flowers. So this is a Vegapunk invention. Um, and all the pirates are flipping out, and Kobe turns up to the roof, and we see this sniper woman named Hibari, who seems to have unleashed this weapon on them and saved Kobe's life. We then cut over to another rooftop where we see this other sword guy named Prince Groose, who is actually responsible for the clay soldiers that are currently on Fulaled, as he is the wielder of the Glorp fruit, which makes him a clay man. Okay, that's a weird name.
Oh, he was making those soldiers.
Yeah, why couldn't they just call it the clay fruit? Why did it have to be the Glorp fruit? But
Maybe
yeah,
there's already a clay man.
is there? I don't even know if there was a clay man. He's got a long bill on his hat. It's kind of cool. But yeah, he's the one responsible for the soldiers, and as we see that the pirates that were surrounding Kobe are being surrounded on their own because apparently this woman's just been whipping these buildings to close in on these pirates. And I think we see Tashigi here. Tashigi's with Sword, and they say we're ready to go, and they launch their ship. We know what time it is. The ship descends. It is Garp's ship, and guess who's on the fucking bow of the prow of the ship? It's Garp himself, and everybody is shook. Everybody's like, "Oh my god, I thought he retired. It's the hero of legend." And we see Garp, very much like Luffy does. He's on the prow of the ship. That's what Luffy used to do when he had the Mary. He would just like sit on
Mm,
the very front of it, and he's just laughing his ass off, like "Bwahaha," and getting his fist ready. And everybody sees this and starts panicking, trying to run because they know what time it is. And all you see is the hockey collecting around Garp's fist as he jumps off of the prow and he shouts down to the pirates. He's like, "Do you have any idea who you've taken prisoner? Kobe is the future of the Navy. And what's more, he's my protege," as he unleashes his attack, Galaxy Impact, and explodes that whole section of Full Lead with one single hockey punch. And that is where the chapter ends. Josh,
well,
what did you think about One Piece chapter 1080?
this is the RGC.
Yeah, this is my RGC as well.
Let's
And it
not
is,
let's make no mistake. This was a tough week.
yeah, it was a tough, in a strong week, to be honest. This was an RGC on all three of us parts. And not only that, the audience voted it the RGC as well.
Whoa.
Yep. This is a unified, really good chapter of the week. Unfortunately, I don't have a soundboard yet. But
Damn.
I'm still working on it. I promise I'll get it up and running and on a more permanent basis. But well, if you count the audience as our fourth man, all four of us consider this the best chapter of the week. And I couldn't agree more. But Josh, why don't you get into your thoughts?
Okay. This was all right. I want to start from the end. This Galaxy Impact Punch. This is. I know you've watched Death Battle before, right?
I have.
Well, for anyone that has watched it, if you know, if you don't, it's just a YouTube series where they pit, you know, anime or comic book characters, like anything from like that sphere of media, like against each other. And this is something they're gonna use for One Piece. You know what I'm saying? Like in the future to scale like certain characters. He just leveled the neighborhood this
Mhm.
size of San Juan. So super impressive. I just know that those are usually things they point out. Um, it's cool seeing that they had this. I guess what do you call it? This commando group of Marines. It's really interesting. I guess I wanted to hear your thoughts on that when you get to it. It makes sense that someone like Garp could be in charge like this because he's realistically strong enough that he could do whatever he wants. I guess not that he can't be beaten, but he can't be beaten without an immense struggle. So I guess they feel like whatever he's doing is fine. That being the elders, because they are in control. I'm sure if they didn't want Garp doing whatever he was doing, he would have got smoked a long time ago. Um, it was really nice seeing Aokiji. I know it's already been established that he's with Blackbeard, but I haven't actually seen it yet. So like seeing him in person, talking to Teach, it's I like it. I like that I like that we're starting to get introduced to these background characters that we know are a big deal, like Teach and the rest of his Blackbeard pirates, Kobe, Garp, and I guess a handful of these Marines. You can see these factions coming together. I wonder if Smoker is there too.
Yeah, Tashigi's there, so he might be.
Right, that definitely is Tashigi. You can't really be sure
It
for
certainly looks exactly like
this
her.
is One Piece we're talking about,
I know.
and she is a woman.
That's very true. But she has the glasses, she has the dark hair. Uh
Uh-huh.
she's a Navy woman. She looks like Tashigi. I'm like 95% sure that's Tashigi.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. Moria being released. really intrigued me. He's one of my favorite villains. Maybe not personality wise, but just in design and his ability. Thriller
Mhm.
Bark was dope. And it's funny because I often forget about that arc. Like I guess because of when it happens, like where it's placed, because it's like right before um Shibodi and right after like what Skypiea. Kind of sandwiched in, no,
No,
it's
it's
like right after
after.
Water 7, so it's like sandwiched in a weird spot.
Yeah.
Well, not a weird spot, but between major arcs.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, those are my thoughts. I'm really interested to hear what you think.
Yeah, I'm gonna read off Brian's thoughts first because he just sent them to us. First of all, he did say that it is his RGC, his really good chapter of
Yes.
the week. And he said that Garp's entrance with his ship is very similar to Luffy's entrance at Marineford, and his claim about Kobe alongside his crazy display of power is a testament to Kobe's potential in this world. Also, he had an idea about that the Blackbeard pirate ship that is showing up to Egghead is Kobe, who escaped Pirate Island and essentially swapped prisoners with Garp, who will be used as a more effective bargaining chip. Garp
Mm.
directed Kobe to go to Egghead and reunite with Luffy to ensure the dawn of the new world, and he says that he doesn't think that Garp gets off the pirate island. Those are
Those are some really interesting ideas.
yeah, yeah.
So let's
Uh,
talk about it. Let's talk about it.
I will say, it is funny because I remember the circumstances of Luffy's ship. He also descended from the sky, but what happened with Luffy's ship was actually that like there was the tsunami that Whitebeard caused that was then frozen by Aokiji, and Luffy and the impelled down inmates got stuck on the top of that wave after it was tsunamied and frozen.
Mm.
So in order to not waste any time, they just basically jumped off the ship. Um,
Hmm.
but I mean, Luffy likes to make grand entrances, and it seems to be a family trait uh, to make these grand epic entrances. Um, yeah, I don't know if Garp would give himself up as a prisoner, you know, and I don't see anybody on this island beating Garp without Blackbeard on the island. So who knows? I mean, it's definitely possible, but I think like Garp is just so fucking powerful because this is him not in his prime, and I think it would be just like a more interesting plot point if Garp just fucks up Full of Lead and leaves, because it's kind of cliche to have him like lose here in a sense, like,
I guess
but
yeah, because that is the expectation. You kind of expect that. Oh, even though it's presented like he's about to come and wreck everybody, narratively speaking, usually what happens is they come in hot, and then that's how they, you know, have a huge twist. Like usually the twist is that, oh, we actually took him down, and now things are even worse. So
yeah.
yeah, I would do. I just wanted to break that down, like how that is cliche, like
Hmm.
counterculture,
I mean,
counter.
if it happens the way that Brian says that like Garp is taken down and like allows Kobe to escape somehow, but Garp is taken as a more valuable prisoner, I think that makes sense. Uh, just personally, I think it would be cooler if Garp just wipes the floor with Full of Lead and bounces. I think that'd just be a slightly more interesting power like story point. Um, but yeah,
Yeah, plus Blackbeard and a handful of the pirates aren't there, like from his crew.
yeah, I think I will say this is just such a fucking awesome chapter. I think this is like the first one where we've had entirely not focused on the Straw Hats at all in a little bit,
Mm.
um, which is awesome. I'm not mad at it. All these characters that are being introduced are super cool. I do love the idea of Sword. It makes sense, and if it's not necessarily confirmed right here that Garp is the leader of Sword, but it would track that he is, because Garp, although he has like a lot of sense of duty to Marine, he is a Marine at heart. He is also kind of like a wild card for them in a sense that whenever Luffy does a big exploit, he is proud of him for doing the exploit and making something of himself and not being just a bum out here in these
Mhm.
seas. So, I think like there is something to Garp that's a little bit of a maverick. Even though he is just like a Marine through and through. Uh but yeah, I just love the entrance here. He's like laughing all the way in. I think that's like the concept of just like laughing and being free is very consistent between him and Luffy. And I just love to see
Mhm.
the family that like little weird family trait like being shared, even though Dragon still doesn't seem to be this guy, despite
No,
being
not
his
at all. He's
actual
very
son.
serious.
uh
Um, but I also see that in Blackbeard too. That's part of the reason I think he's really cool, is because even though he's done a lot of nefarious things, he doesn't. I mean, yeah, he's a dirtbag. I guess I can't say he's not a say he's a decent person, but he does have that spirit of freedom, I guess, to him.
well, I think like there's something different about Blackbeard because like thinking back to when he was first introduced,
Hmm.
him and his crew are very beholden to fate. They really believe they're like very fatalistic people. They think that things are preordained and predetermined, and whatever happens is just kind of a twist of fate, and that's how, in theory, it was always supposed to be. You know, and I think
Oh,
that plays into how Blackbeard operates in this moment too, where he has Kobe, but he's like, well, we made this choice. Let's follow it through and see where fate takes us. Uh,
it's confidence and belief
yeah, there
in
is a sense
himself,
of
and
belief in that.
all right, I see. So it is distinctive from Luffy and Garp and those like that because it's not maybe it's not this joyous freedom that he gives off, but like I said, it's having an unwavering faith in himself and his future. And I guess that's how he gets followers. That's probably how he got Aokiji to join him. He probably was like, damn, you really, really believe that you're gonna change the world.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's still so much about Blackbeard himself that's a mystery. I don't know what he stands to gain from turning Pirate Island into its own country. I have a feeling that's not his end game here, but that's like part of a bigger plan. Um, but yeah, this is just like so much to kind of like break down, I feel. Uh with like there's Moria. I'm wondering if they took away his powers or not. If you have to kill somebody to take their powers, you probably do, like cuz everybody they've taken abilities from is no longer here. There's we have Whitebeard, obviously Absalom. They don't have they're dead and their abilities have been passed on to other Blackbeard members.
Right.
But Moria seems to be alive still.
What
And
about that girl that got caught?
what girl?
In the at the beginning,
Oh,
it
Hancock.
was nah, not Boy Hancock. It was this man. Someone got someone like Blackbeard left her on a raft for the Navy to get or something like that. It happened really early, like right after the time skip. It's not like there was a fight that happened in the
I
in
think
the
that happened
actual
before. I think I
chapter.
know what you're talking about. You're talking about
I
Bonnie.
thought that was Jewelry Bonnie. That was
Yeah,
Bonnie.
it was Bonnie. Bonnie seems to have escaped in that moment
But I guess that's what happened.
because she was
She was
free.
defeated and escaped. Okay.
Um,
Yes, he didn't take her power, obviously.
yeah. One thing that
Yeah,
I
it could be the case that he doesn't want to give Moria's power to anybody because maybe it's too volatile.
yeah, I mean, I would say that people can have more than one devil fruit, but he certainly does. But maybe nobody else can handle it, and that's like a thing only he can do is have more than one devil fruit power, and his crewmates can only have one. I don't know.
Yeah, there's no way it doesn't play a role.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know, man. This seems to be happening concurrently with what's happening on Egghead. That's the only thing that like holds me back from saying that the ship that's descending on Egghead is Kobe. And plus, we know that White Blackbeard's just out there doing stuff. We don't know where Jesus Burgess is. We don't know where Catalina is. there's certain members of Blackbeard's crew that are not on Full Lead that it could be. But yeah, there's that. One thing that I did notice though is that throughout the course, ever since Wano, like Kaido has said that that Haki is like the true, like real power in this world, and like the people who are the best of the best are like the more adept users of Haki, and like devil fruits don't matter so much the further you get into the new world. And Oda seems to be proving that with who's dominating right now out there.
Hmm.
Because we see, Shanks dispatching Kid's crew pretty easily using Haki ability. Garp here leveling a whole town with Haki power alone.
Haki man?
He's a hockey man. There are multiple hockey men. And it looks like it's not a cope after all. With people with agendas. That's so funny, man.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, granted, Garp does have a fruit ability, right?
Nope.
But no.
No, he doesn't have a fruit ability. What power did you think he had?
Oh no, that's the other guy that has the fruit ability, the Buddha.
Sengoku, yeah.
Jeez. Wow. Okay. So yeah, Garp is just raw. He is a confirmed hockey man. Hold that pain.
Yeah.
Not an agenda.
Not an
agenda. The Oda's agenda. Which means it's legit.
Yeah. Oh man, this was such a fucking good chapter, bro. Just so much lore, bro. Oh my god, all the lore
so much lore. The fact that we got this chapter real quick in the middle of like, this egghead arc has been, yeah. Oda's getting things moving. I'm not even mad.
No, I mean, look, when we left Wano, we expected that there's going to be like a few chapters dedicated to what's been happening around the world since. But Oda's just like, oh, I'm going to give you a whole arc of world building. And
right, like sprinkled in everywhere.
Yeah, and it's so awesome. It's so fucking cool. And the thing is, like, I don't know if there's anybody who can like reveal so much but also keep so much secret than Oda. Like, think of every character that's been featured in this series or in this very chapter alone just has like, we know them and we've known them for a long time for the most part, Garp, Blackbeard, Aokiji, some members of Sword we've known, fucking Perona. But we don't, like, there's still also so much motivation that we are not privy to that is just fascinating. We know these characters, but we don't really know them like that. Like, what's Garp's whole deal? Like, a lot of Garp's past is also still a mystery.
Was he a pirate or not?
No, he was a Navy man, but he was like working with Roger.
Nah, but he was a pirate.
And he was the guy like to take down rocks, according to, like, at least as far as the world government is concerned. Propaganda, probably. It's possible.
It was San Juan Wolf that did it.
But he did fight alongside Roger. That much is confirmed. So,
Garp's got to fight that guy.
I've always said that, and here's another thing that I did want to mention is that we're seeing all the like old guard still fucking got it, bro. They still out here just doing shit, like Garp, Shanks.
Dude, old people in One Piece, elders, and grown-ups, real actual mature adults in One Piece are incredibly strong.
Yeah, like, as far as old people in manga go, One Piece has the strongest old people. And
not like the strongest out of all series. It's just like over the span, like they have so many different
strong
sage characters.
And they're all hard to take down. When you really think about it, Kaido beat Luffy 4 times.
Yeah.
Like, we get on Kid's case for losing to Shanks twice. But Luffy lost pretty easily to
I didn't
Kaido.
get on Kid's case for losing to Shanks twice personally.
Yeah, you did.
Just so we're clear. No, it wasn't about him losing to Shanks. It's the fact that all he does is lose.
That's fair. That's a fair point. But yeah, I think like
When he
somebody.
doesn't have help from
Yeah, I read
the
this
greatest
somewhere.
One Piece character of all time.
I read this somewhere,
Apparently.
and it's something I never really thought of. Is that like this new generation of pirates, like doesn't hold a candle to like the Rocks era pirates. It's like those guys were like such the real deal, and even to
Kinda
this
like
day,
the Heian era
yeah, yeah, that's exactly
of
right. Like,
Jujutsu Kaisen.
yeah, exactly. That era, that Rocks Pirates era, was like the Heian era for One Piece. It's just the realest people alive fighting all day, every day, and it was awesome.
Awesome to talk about. Maybe
Yeah.
it wasn't awesome for them in the moment.
No, not for the characters that were involved, as we'll
Yeah,
see soon.
but
It seems to have actually sucked for most people back then, whether you were strong in that world or not. It seems to have been a shitty life. But yeah, no, it's just so cool. I've always hoped that one day, if we don't get like a deep dive into that era in the manga itself, I would love for like Oda to like figure out how to do it as a movie.
oh,
I
that
th-
would be sick.
I think the battle against the Rocks Pirates would make for like an unbelievable movie.
Yeah, and that could be a movie that's canon that if you missed it, it's not like he could just do it for the sake that you know what happened,
Yeah. But
and
we
it
might,
doesn't have to have story implications.
yeah. But we might
There's a
get a
way
little
to
deep
do
dive.
that. There's a way to do it.
There's a way. Jujutsu Kaisen 0, You could do that.
Mm-hmm.
Um
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's my wish list. That's my hope for the world, is that we get like a full length. I'll watch 2.5 hours of that. Of that whole era. Oof.
Same.
All right. Well, that's One Piece for me. This was such a fucking great chapter, man. I read it like a couple times. It's just so cool. Garp is the man. Loves this chapter so much. But you ready to move on, Josh?
Yes.
All right. Then we are moving on to Jujutsu Kaisen, chapter 219, Bath Part 4. We actually open with a flashback. Last we left off with Jujutsu Kaisen, Sukuna was going up against Yorozu, who are now, Yorozu's getting frustrated kind of because Sukuna is actually just like beating her without really trying and not using his own innate technique and is using Megumi's technique.
He's beating her without his mane.
Yeah, and she's getting upset at that. So she's gonna use a technique made from her own love. And we actually get a flashback of way back in the Heian era, it seems, where these two guys are just like kind of talking about how it's the Harvest Festival and they're questioning why they invited a monster like that. And he's like, why do we have to pray to Sukuna for our crops? And they explain that the elite warriors in the northern Fujiwara's forces, known as the Sun, Moon, Star, and Star Squad, were ripped apart, and so were the 5 empty generals. So he's like, we must show that we bear no ill will and seek peaceful, friendly relations, because Sukuna's that guy. So yeah, they're coming in and they're just asking what has become of the capital of Heian. And we get to see Yorozu, who is buck naked in her, I guess, room and eating cherries and stuff. And one of her servants, I guess, comes in and is like, today is the Harvest Festival, Yorozu. Please put clothes on. Otherwise the wives will give you hell. And she's like, I'll be the one to give them hell. This festival is sure to have Chinese pastries and offerings to the gods. So, she throws on a robe casually and just like,
Very loosely.
yeah, just makes her way down to, I guess, to where the snacks are. And she arrives outside to where Sukuna is. And we've seen Sukuna before, like in this time period on like cover pages and stuff, but this is probably like the first time we've really seen him in canon story, you know? And he looks gross.
Mm,
You know, he looks like a curse himself, and you know, he's just sitting there. He's got his forearms and his two faces. I guess that's how they call it.
yeah.
And Yorozu just runs at him, still buck naked, and just goes over to hug him. And she's like, "Don't worry, I'm here. You aren't alone." And Urume, I think this guy's name is, goes like, "Back off," and just like sends her away. As she dodges or something, she just jumps back. And she's like, "From now on, I'll be the one standing there." And her robe is just like fully open, but there seems to be a wound coming down her
Mm.
chest through her stomach. And she's like, she just notices it and she falls to the ground. And she's like, "I knew it. What a painful wound." And I guess she dies right there, which is wild. And we cut over to the present time where she is now obviously inhabited Sumiki's body, and she is like, "I want your solitude all for myself. It belongs to no one but me because I'm the one who will kill you." And we see that she is standing next to a fucking perfect black sphere, and Suguna just looks at it as like, "Whoa, it's a perfect sphere."
Mm.
And she sends it right at him, and it just like makes this like perfect round crater in the ground as it moves. And we get an explanation that a true sphere is thought to be impossible. It has no contact area, so it generates infinite pressure.
Whoa.
Yeah, and she's
That that's such a wild thing to that's such a wild thing to wrap your head around.
yeah,
There's no do you understand that? There's
yeah,
no surface perfectly round because there's no flat
yeah,
point,
yeah.
no corner,
No what?
like no corners at all. It's like
No,
impossible.
it's fucking cornerless. Not a single corner. And she explains that a perfect sphere is untouchable. So how will you handle true love? And at that point, she opens her domain, and it's called Threefold Affliction. But she then notices that he hasn't opened his domain, and he's like, "Wait, he saw what my sphere does, and it's guaranteed to hit in this domain. If I activate my cursed technique, he's toast." But then Sukuna summons that weird fucking monster, uh, and it bursts open the sphere. He destroyed the fucking true sphere with this Shikigami, and thus her domain is destroyed. Sukuna explains that an energy inefficient curse technique like hers will always end up the same, no matter whatever she constructs. The substance appropriates the liquid metal or insect armor you're using, but he's already adapted to it. So basically, he's like, "Haha, it just won't work on me."
Yeah,
um,
that was kind of a weak explanation. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, I think like the point here is that Yorozu could never get past her like her technique's weakness is that it just uses too much cursed energy.
Mm.
So it just won't it just wouldn't never be as strong as she would want it to be. And he's already kind of used to dealing with it already. So
Oh, okay.
I guess that's the best way I could say it, I suppose. Um but yeah, she basically is dying and she's like, "I'm so happy that you know that about me." And then she does kind of similar thing that Mai did for Maki. And she go, "Here, this is for you. Think of it as me and use it with care." And I think she uses her construction curse technique for one last thing. And the chapter ends with Megumi seemingly at the bottom of the ocean almost, it looks like. And he's just crying because obviously Sukuna just killed his sister. Um, and she seems to be fading away, so there's not even going to be a body involved. Uh,
Yeah.
that is a huge bummer for Megumi. He cannot catch a break in this series. He's been through the goddamn ringer. Um, but that was Jujutsu Kaisen chapter 219. Josh. What did you think about this chapter?
Um, I didn't realize that she's probably dead now.
She's for
I
sure
I
dead.
didn't even notice that there were tears running down his eyes, like at the end. I, if anything, I thought this was like a positive thing because there was like light coming down, like he was getting awake, like awoken by something.
Oh no.
But yeah, that totally flipped the my perspective. That's really sad. Um, I don't know what I thought I was gonna expect. It's not like I thought that she was gonna beat Sukuna, but I thought maybe something would interrupt that fight, saving her.
Hmm.
I guess not. She put up a fight though. It was just against Sukuna.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm not sure if if I said this last week, but she when you guys were talking about not being like so excited by her as a character compared to a lot of the other ancient sorcerers, I think I definitely agreed with that last week. But I feel like Gigi's not giving this character that. Maybe that's not a fair thing to say, but I think this is more about showcasing Sukuna fighting with like different techniques. Us kind of getting familiar with him more so than introducing a brand new sorcerer to be cool and fight against. Although he did that as well. I mean, I think she's a cool character. I think she's interesting,
Yeah.
and it's not because she was butt naked for half of this chapter. I promise that's not why.
I promise. I swear to God. Swear to God.
Yeah. Um. Did you keep all the ovaries in her domain expansion?
Yeah. I did see all the
Yeah.
ovaries.
Gigi's a
Cursed
wild
ovaries.
dude.
It's crazy. Crazy, crazy guy.
Yeah. Anyway, what are your thoughts on this chapter, Chris?
Yeah. I don't hate Yorozu. I was just like kind of I guess I guess it's unfair to compare to other sorcerers, but I guess like she has the least screen time of all of them too. So I guess like, I guess I wasn't I shouldn't I wasn't like expecting to like think she was probably like super duper important or anything, but I guess I was just comparing her to the other sorcerers that just like felt a little more entertaining, but I think she served her purpose in the story. I don't by any means I don't really like dislike her at all. I guess like it was more that I was more indifferent towards her and that was kind of a different feeling. But this was a cooler display of her ability. That perfect sphere shit was crazy. I wonder if anybody else could do that. Like I wonder
Need
if
a
they're
perfect spear?
yeah, I think I wonder if they're like they built it up here so that somebody else could try to pull it off later. Because we've seen it before where like people bring out techniques and then it comes back later like somebody else trying it. So maybe. But yeah, this was a cool chapter. Bringing back that one Shikigami was pretty cool.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I knew it was coming. I didn't know that he was like waiting to use it though.
yeah,
It's kind of implied that he could have used that as soon as that loaded up.
I think he switched places with it because like he dives backward and then that thing comes out, and all of a sudden he's like way outside of the domain.
Oh,
So I'm wondering if he just like switched places with it. But either way, it was just like a cool chapter. Man, I feel bad for Megami. This is not cool. Um, I hope they just pull him out of whatever rut he's in because this is very sad. But overall, like pretty great chapter to be honest. Um, Jujutsu Kaisen is always great, and that's despite the nudity. That's not what this is about. Okay, it's not because of the
right.
nudity. This was a cool chapter, regardless. Um, but yeah, that's really all I have to say about Jujutsu Kaisen. This was just sad. I man, Sumiki going down is a pretty sad thing for Megami.
Mm-hmm.
Any rebuttals? Anything else to add, Josh?
No, I'm ready to move on.
All right, then let's move on to Undead Unluck, chapter 154, and I will throw it over to you, Josh.
All right, as Chris said, this is Undead Unluck, chapter number 154. Select. Last week we finalized. We basically came to a conclusion of the Disc and Billy arc, where Billy and Tella and Creed. Is it Creed? Yeah, Creed
Yeah,
is
Creed.
under Creed. Yeah, yeah. End up joining Fuko's team after a wild effort, and Fuko lets them all know that the next negator they need to help out is a child named Phil, who, I'm sure if you guys remember, is the artifact child that didn't talk. And I'm not gonna lie, I thought he was a robot, and then I forgot that he was a negator. I didn't know that was a. I didn't know
Yeah.
that. I thought he
Yeah,
was
Phil was
just like
like
an android or something.
I feel like Phil was a character that came into prominence. Like he just emerged in the story kinda. Like he's always there in the background, but he just like
He was
kind of
always there.
yeah, he
Yeah,
was just always there, but we never like it was only until like that the whole thing started to fall apart at the end there that Phil became like a real person in the story.
yeah, and was fighting and stuff.
Because I remember when he
Um,
first came up, we're like, "Who is that kid?" It could be just our shitty
right.
memories too, but I distinctly remember. I don't remember him playing a huge part in the story up to that moment.
No, I don't. I mean, I think we're right because that's how I feel too.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, cut to the beginning of the chapter where you hear I guess a radio communication talking about how there's like a space station that lost all communication, and that this experiment can't go public, and if it's not an option, and it's still trying to reach them, and we skip to a narrative which we later find out is being told by Foucault, letting us know that a few days ago a space station was attacked, and they're not sure if it was by Uma or an alien or an Uma named alien or a rule that allowed aliens to do this. Who knows at this point, right? God's the worst.
Yeah.
And so is Luna. So yeah, Fugel's like, bet. So we're gonna fly out there by rocket, and we're gonna save Phil. And everyone's like, damn, we're gonna go to space in a rocket? Hey, don't them shits blow up? I'm not. I don't remember what time period they're in right now. I don't think they're in the 2000s yet, but definitely, the
They're
I
in the
know you
90s,
remember
I
like
think.
that rocket blowing up on TV.
Yeah,
That shit
the
was wild.
Challenger.
Yeah, man, that was intense.
Mhm.
So I'm sure that's like topical. I want to give Yoshifuma like as much credit as I can, basically.
Yeah, I believe they're in the
Oh,
90s at this point, so it makes sense.
right. Where they're like super skeptical and I'm like, okay, let's build a spaceship.
Mhm.
Um, mm, excuse me. So Fuku goes to explain that, he's a 6-year-old child and he's with his mom. They're in a bunker, and uh she also starts to explain like who he was in the past, that he was an unfeel negator. I mean, he was a feeling negator. They call
Mhm.
him unfeel. And that because of his negator ability, he used his body to incorporate like a ton of different like ancient artifacts, just so he could help the cause and do his part, which I guess gives the character a lot more depth, just like that, knowing that, oh, like he it's not like again, he wasn't a robot. He was a real person that had to watch his body get mutilated. Well, maybe not watch, but like I hope he was under anesthesia, even if he couldn't feel it.
Yeah.
Um, that still takes guts to watch your arms and other appendages get replaced, but it's got to be sick after the fact, though.
It's gotta be fucking
He's
rad.
Inspector Gadget. Yeah, I wish I was Inspector Gadget, but not like in a goofy way,
Yeah,
like an
I wish
updated way.
I wish I was Inspector Gadget without the whole car crash thing that caused me to become Inspector Gadget.
Is that what happened to
I think
him?
so, like, he was I remember the movie, the live action movie, he was like he got into a weird car accident, and they saved his life by turning him into a robot.
Wow. Yo, I remember that movie. I remember liking it when I was a kid.
Me too. It was probably terrible. It probably ages terribly.
Oh man, yeah, but now I gotta see it though.
Me too. We should watch it.
You still gotta see Space Commandos too. Oh, it's Space Troopers.
Starship Troopers.
Starship Troopers. See, you know.
I remember.
You gotta watch that, man. A great movie.
Yeah.
Cinematic masterpiece.
Yeah. Like Inspector Gadget.
Clockwork Orange. And Inspector Gadget, yeah.
Oh, classics, Criterion classes like Clockwork Orange and Inspector Gadget.
In the room.
In the room.
And Mortal Kombat. Anyway,
which one?
Back to Undead Unlocked. So yeah, she's explaining how they're like sheltered up in the station. They're probably still okay, but they're running out of food and probably oxygen as well or something.
Mm-hmm.
So Nico's like, wait. Why is there a kid in space? Billy's like, yeah, that's a good question. I was thinking about that too.
That's funny.
Right, and then
everybody's like, whoa.
Yeah,
we didn't really question that.
I didn't think about that either. Huh. I was like, oh, right. They said you can't really send a kid to space because it
feels illegal.
The pressure's too much. Yeah, he's 6 years old, so there's no way.
No way.
And then one of Nico's scientist staff members, Bao, was saying there's making a new feeling project, an experiment that seeks to study the effects of space on human adaptability. This country has been This country, it's like when they say him or they.
This person. You don't mean country, that person.
Him. Is this another? Is this the USA? Is Russia?
I don't know. I don't think they're in Russia. I think they're in the USA still. No, they were.
No, the country who conducted this experiment.
That's what I'm wondering. Is like, are they in the USA? Are they in Japan?
This country, man, this better be build up, Yoshifuma. To Fuku better go to war with a whole country now. With this country doing these heinous things. Okay, I'm gonna stop. So they constructed a space station in secret, and within its walls, a child was born and raised there. So, get this, guys. This country created a space colony so that they can test the effects of, like, the long-term effects of space on day-to-day human life, and how to operate in a station. Which I guess I understand. But as Nico's about to break down, he says, screw that. Science makes developments to better protect people's lives and futures. Toying with the very lives that you're meant to protect isn't science at all. And he says, we'll save him. Count on it. I agree with Nico, and I'll give a few thoughts about that later. We're moving on. They have to figure out who's going because it turns out only 3 people could fit on a rocket ship. So yeah, this was a really fun part of the manga for me, and this is the part that to me I guess like made it contestant for the RGC because it was something to think about. Apocalypse, this is really funny. So, excuse me. They're sitting at the round table, like trying to discuss like who's going to go on the trip, and Apocalypse gets tight. He's like, man, get the fuck out of here. We're not like I don't have any quests to give out. Like, don't use this table for casual manner. And they're just like, whatever. But Billy's surprised, like, oh shit, there was someone else in here.
I didn't even realize that. I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
It was a whoa.
You need to keep reminding me that he's blind. He was not blind in the last loop.
I don't remember him being blind. I don't remember it.
He was not blind.
Was he blind?
And I'm not looking back.
I'm not
going
looking.
back. I'm not going
It would be
back,
such an
bro.
easy fix for us to look back or at least Google it, but we will not. We refuse.
This is Yoshifuma projecting right now.
For real.
It's okay. We're not. When none of us are perfect. You know, we all have our own insecurities, and he's projecting his subconscious insecurity in his mind that he knows that Billy was never blind.
No,
Not once.
Yoshifumi he's gaslighting us right now.
He is. Yeah, exactly.
He's gaslighting
us. Wow.
We're being gaslit.
You know, it's really rare when someone uses that term correctly. At least from my experiences, but spot
He's
on.
like, what are you talking about? He was always blind this whole time.
It was funny. He didn't have to include that, but I appreciated that. So anyway, Fuko is saying like, look, Billy, I'm gonna put it like this. I need you to help make the decision. Because
is that Brian?
Brian Espinal?
Stop.
Hey!
Yo.
You're just in time for Undead Unluck.
Oh,
Yes,
shit.
number
I've got
one
nothing
Undead.
to say.
Oh. You could give a few thoughts. If you have anything to say about Jujutsu Kaisen, you could add it on after the Undead. But
yeah, let's do Undead, and then we'll go back to Brian real fast and
yeah.
cover his thoughts on stuff.
Okay, cool stuff. So yeah, Billy's like, well, I mean, Fuko's letting Billy know that look, I need, you know, your opinion matters because you have an objective opinion. So you say, we need an objective opinion, a negator's opinion, and a mechanic's opinion. Fine. They're all negators, though. It seems a little...
I guess he's saying, you know, then for every role on the squad, so, you know, like, the objective opinion will be, like, Fuko understanding everything, every bit of context surrounding every one of the characters. You know, her being from a previous loop.
Oh, right. You know, she's talking about as far as them discussing who's going to join.
Yeah.
Right. That makes sense. Okay. Because she understands the negators and right, like you said, has prior knowledge. Okay. And the mechanic's opinion will be Nico, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes in hot, like, man, we don't got time to build a whole fucking rocket. I need 40 billion Juons. You know what I'm saying? That's the currency from Avatar, Legend of Korra.
Is it?
It is Juons, yeah.
Oh.
In Republic City, anyway. The more you know. So, yeah, Nico's like, actually, we're probably gonna hit 50 billion. He's like, you don't mind though, right, Fugo? She says, nah. Billy's like, 50 billion? That might still be $1 billion. You know, he's still brand new. Stop it, Coco. She's clawing my book. Okay, Bets. Fugo's like, all right, let's get it going. So all three of them basically go ahead and select 3 candidates, and then they discuss it after the fact. So Fuko explains that we need a leader, a mechanic, and a striker, you know, an offensive person. So for Fuko, she says for leader, Creed, mechanic, Nico, and striker, Void. Billy says Fuko for the leader, again, Nico as a mechanic, and Creed as his striker. And then Nico says also Fuko to be the leader, the mechanic to be Ichigo, not himself, curious enough, and also Creed as a striker. So just off the bat, like the people that come up more times than once is Nico, Creed, and Fuko. So that should already kind of tell you like who, you know, those are the ones that overlap. So most likely those 2 characters are gonna go on the trip.
Mm-hmm.
But then they start breaking down like the reasons. Fugo really admires Creed's combat experience and leadership in the field. She's seen it in action, and she thinks that's important for whatever they may end up dealing with in the space station. It's funny because Nico picked Creed as his striker instead of being the leader, but kind of for similar reasons. combat acumen and also his actual negation ability means that they won't have to bring as many resources when it comes to like a shootout, and not even just like for weapons, but apparently for fuel as well for the rocket. He says the blast off success rate will skyrocket. Um, sure, makes sense to me,
Yeah.
I guess. All right. Damn. So Billy's like, all right, I'm on the same page as Nico. The only one I disagree with is you, Fuko. Basically, he's trying to let her know, like, look, you don't discount your leadership. You know, there's a reason Nico and I think you'd be like, you know, the right leader for this because, again, you have a background of knowledge and you've dealt with extraneous circumstances that just none of us are used to. So, you know, and plus you cool, calm, and collective. Anyway, they get down to talking about the strikers. Fuko mentions that you know that she definitely wants to bring a restrainer with them in case there's like what do they say, for any anti Uma combat. Although I don't know why you would need a restrainer for Uma specifically. I mean, Creed could just shoot it down and then they can take the head. I don't know,
Hmm.
but she says how, you know, Gina's resting. They can't take Undraw. Even as incredible as a fighter she is, she might end up fucking the ship up and blowing them up. Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And then you know, so they decide, bet, all right, so we'll send well, they didn't get to decide. And then now they talk about Nico as far as like the mechanic goes. And he's like, you know, I absolutely want to go, but you know, the kid's life is on the line and we should send the best mechanic or the best person, you know, possible to be a mechanic. And his argument is that uh sending Chico is better than him because not only is she as good, if not better, of a mechanic slash engineer, she also has that added ability of soul projection that can assist them where Nico doesn't have anything like that. You know, he doesn't have a negation ability yet.
Hmm.
So wow, maybe he'll develop it on this trip. Anyway, yeah, like just simply she has more to offer on the line. So that, you know, as bad as he wants to go, she should go in this place. And Fogel's like, nah, man, you gotta understand. That's the reason you're the best like you're the best fit, because of how bad you want to save this kid. You have that much of a passion and you need that to, like, you know, just keep everything focused and remind them what they're there for. And
Yeah.
Foucault goes and saying, no, let's save him from the tragedy born of science and negation together. And he's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I think you're a great pick too. Boom. And there we go. We get a nice little 2-page spread and graphic of Foucault, Creed, and Nico in some spacesuits heading out to the space station. There's also a color page in the beginning of the same kind of situation in the spacesuits. It was very nice.
Yeah.
That's it. That was Undead Unluck this week. Chris, any thoughts?
Whoo! This is a great chapter.
Was
Honestly, my second place. Uh, this is just like cool to see them break down strategy like this, and you know, like talk out as to who should go and why, and you know, making full use of, I guess, their ensemble. And I really enjoyed it. This is another one of those examples where uh Yoshifumi seems to be using the benefit of the loop to get into deeper looks into the more tertiary characters um that appeared later in the story that he probably didn't have time to really get into before. So yeah, this was just cool. um I always love that little mechanic in his story. It's a very unique thing. uh but yeah, the strategy was cool. I love this 2-page spread at the end. This little team is fun. It's a fun little mix up. I wonder if Billy is also going with them because he's also on the color page in a spacesuit. So I wonder if he's gonna just accompany them. Oh, but you know, Tella's there, and he's not going. So it just might be Fuka.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited to see what happens next. I really enjoyed this chapter as a whole. Um, Nico's really stepped up as kind of like as a great supporting character,
He
uh,
sure has.
especially considering how little he was in the story before. Like he was always
Mhm.
around, but he wasn't like to this degree.
Yeah,
Um,
he was just that weirdo science guy. That's it.
yeah,
Eccentric science guy.
yeah, eccentric science guy. But yeah, this is just like so cool, and because it's so simple, you know. It's simple in its premise where they're just picking a team, but there's a lot of thought put into who goes and why, and it all comes down to heart at the end of the day with Nico. You know, 'Cause, like
Yeah.
not only is Nico super competent and would be a perfect person to go because he's the science guy, but he also is the person that has the strongest passion out of all of them. One thing I did notice though that made me laugh when I first saw it is when they're all looking at Nico, Fuko's vision goes over Apocalypse and at Nico. I don't know if you noticed the arrows.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, that made me laugh a little. But
Like I don't like yeah, like, he didn't have to do that, but he did. Is I appreciate the humor.
yeah, it's a cute little side get.
Like not you, Apocalypse.
No.
Definitely not you.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I have to say about Undead Unluck. It was great. I like this chapter a lot. Josh, what did you think?
I really, really enjoyed this chapter. It's a too bad One Piece was so fucking dope
Mhm.
because this was definitely second place for me. But I want to point out how much I appreciated Nico taking offense to the experiment taking place. I guess it just made me think about the medical field in general, and to be I can't speak of it in detail, but there a lot of medical breakthroughs we've had in the past were like a result of heinous experiments, done on people. Um, and when you talk about means justifying an end, right? It's you'd like to think that okay, sure, these what happened was horrible, but these people didn't die in vain because they was able to help, save a bunch of other people. But I don't. That doesn't really make sense to me because the whole point of medicine is to help people feel better. Tragedy happens, and we never know when something new comes up, but we got to work hard to figure out a solution. I don't think it doesn't make sense to me to subject people to harm and risk killing them for experiments in order to potentially save people in the future. You're harming people now to potentially save people. That's backwards to me.
Mhm.
I know we want to make sure that we can you know create. We want to be prepared for the future. We no one wants to get caught off guard or like similar to like the pandemic or something like that. But not at the expense of people's lives right now, like that. I don't know. How do you feel about that, man?
Um yeah, I mean, there's obvious examples of, like in history just
Right.
of
I mean, like
clinical.
just off the top of our heads, right? Like you got the Tuskegee soldiers,
Yeah,
the black,
obviously. Yeah,
the
those.
black people that were experimented
Yeah,
on.
that's definitely like not a it's definitely not ideal or a good thing at all, like forcible human trials on folks. Um
You know, universities in America did a lot of it, like for a lot of like women's studies, like for like they took a lot of black women and man, this I don't even want to get into all of that, but
yeah.
obviously it's happened outside of America. It's happened everywhere. Those
Yeah.
those are just the stuff I know off the top of my head. The stuff that happened in America.
Yeah, the thing is like it obviously like there's human trials for like a for medicines and stuff is like somewhat necessary as long as they're like voluntary, like obviously stuff like the
Sure.
Tuskegee experiments and stuff like that. That's obvious. People shouldn't be forcibly running human trials on folks. Uh, and I'm definitely not against that. I'm definitely against that for sure. Um, and I do think that Nico, you know, Nico's like disdain here is very valid and reasonable. It's just it's just very sad. You see like this guy who loves science and all stuff. It reminds me of Senku, you know. Nico is basically Senku from Doctor Stone. He just loves science and everything about it, and he hates when it is like used in a more perverse way that infringes on people's rights and stuff. And this is what happens to this kid. Like these are probably like voluntary adults that have just kind of like dragged this kid into it because they were up there for so long, and this kid was just born up there and he didn't have a
Mm.
choice to be up there and be part of this experiment, but there he was. And this happened already like several times throughout several loops. So this kid has technically suffered this like 100 times. So yeah,
Damn.
it's definitely sad.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Hmm.
It needs to end. Let's go, Foucault.
Let's go, Foucault. Fix the world. Um, but yeah, I mean, do you have any rebuttals, Josh?
No,
Well,
that
yeah.
was really the thing that stuck out the most. We're gonna see. We're gonna see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I'm excited to see how this continues onward. But yeah, we're done with our roundup. There were only 3 series this week, so but a strong week overall. Black Clover and My Hero were on break. I believe Horikoshi's not feeling well. Like that's why
Mm,
he's been taking so many hiatus. Is hiatusai? Hiati? How do you say that?
I hope it feels better.
What is the plural of hiatus? But yeah, he's out, and hiati? No way. That's not how you say it. Brian, is that really how you say hiatus? The plural of hiatus?
I don't know if there is a plural for hiatus, but I guess it is hiati.
Hiati? Mm, that feels wrong. Black Clover is off as well. I don't know if it's for the same reason or, the guy just... Mangaka should just have a break every now and then, so I'm not against it either. Plural for hiatus. Hiatuses. So it is hiatuses. All right. Well, with Black Clover and My Hero Academia is out, I want to give Brian a chance to give his thoughts. Brian, I read your thoughts for One Piece on the show already. I don't know if you wanted to add to that at all, or if you had any like theories or whatever. But you have the floor.
Oh, wait, say it again. Sorry, my my interface is kind of bugging out.
No, I said that I read your thoughts for One Piece on the show already, but I wanted to see if you had anything else to add to them. Outside of what you sent us.
Okay. I think I had something else to say about Kuzan. I thought it was interesting that he knew about Sword. When it's supposed to be like this whole secret fucking division thing, but I guess since he was an ex-admiral, he wouldn't have to know about it.
Yeah, I would see him
But
knowing about it.
maybe there's a chance that he is a part of Sword.
Well, that's honestly, it's entirely possible.
I can't hear anything you guys are saying because
Oh,
of my fucking
no,
dumbass thing.
damn, I'm sorry. I'll try to like catch it at a good point, but I think that's actually kind of an interesting point. If Aokiji was a sword member this whole time, that would be actually a pretty sick twist. Josh, do you have any
Yeah,
like?
that would be great.
Yeah, that would be cool. Anything else, Brian? Brian?
It's interface.
Damn, this is a bummer. It's always it's if it's not one thing, it's the other. Brian, if you can hear us, if you have any thoughts about Jujutsu Kaisen, you could get those in as well.
1 sec, guys.
He's got this. He's got this.
Interface is malfunctioning.
Is it functioning? Oh man, I don't want there to be a ton of dead air. So
There you go. Now I can hear you.
hey, okay, cool. I just wanted to do you have any thoughts on Jujutsu Kaisen?
That was a weird ass fucking chapter. Can we all agree how weird that chapter was?
I guess I wouldn't say weird, but I enjoyed it. Okay.
Like
You
it was
just don't
cool to
get.
see.
You just don't understand love.
Yeah, you don't understand love, Brian.
I still don't understand what the
Love is.
whole like. Yeah. So is she?
What is love?
So like, is she supposed to be like a? Like, is she using love as her cursed energy? Is that what it is?
I don't think so. I think she just has a weird thing about love.
Yeah, but they made it seem like it was a big deal in that, like, he should have, like, there's no way he could have known about love, but it's like,
yeah, Sukuna's just a beast, I think. Like
when you're that strong, you understand everything, no matter what.
Yeah.
Right? That's how that works.
I think so. I think that makes sense.
It was cool to see Maharaga again. That was pretty cool.
That's the name of the curse. That's the name of the Shikigami, Maharaga.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
I just didn't know the name. I knew what it was. I just forgot the name. I remember it being a really long name.
It kind of looks like Sukuna himself became Maharaga. If that makes any sense with the way that it's drawn. It seems like he kind of swapped places with it.
It looks a little freaky. I don't know if
he
did swap places.
Really
I thought it was just a dramatic summoning.
I brought that up too, Brian. I think it looks like he switched places with it.
Yeah, because like we don't see Sukuna after Maharaga comes out.
Yeah. No, it looks like he was like teleported outside of the domain. And the shadows can technically teleport. Like we've seen that a little bit. That shit was cool.
And a big reason why Maharaga was able to just destroy her domain expansion is because he's made out of positive cursed energy, I believe, right?
Is that what it is?
Yeah, so I think he kind of counters a lot of cursed techniques because he's made out of positive cursed energy. So he just automatically kind of shits on everybody. That's why he's so strong.
Yeah, I mean that's his whole thing is that like he just kills everybody.
So those are. I wonder how Megumi is going to bounce back from this. And I wonder how much if he does get out of this situation. I wonder how much of Sukuna's like innovation for his curse technique is he going to carry over and start using for himself. You know?
Yeah, let me see something because I just pulled up its Wikipedia just to see. Maharaga. Is conjured with the user incantation rather than form a shadow puppet with their hands. The user simply extends both arms at a slightly upward angle with their fist closed. That's an explanation of what it looks like. The Divine General possesses the ability to adapt any and all phenomena. If it is injured by a particular attack, the 8-handled wheel will turn, allowing it to adapt. If its adversary uses the same technique again, Maharaga will counter it. Additionally, Maharaga has the strength to shadow concrete or hit someone through multiple buildings with a single blow. It also wields the Sword of Extermination, a blade that attaches to its forearm that is enveloped in positive energy, making it effective against cursed spirits. So you're right about that one, Brian. It's the sword itself.
Ah, okay.
But not necessarily Maharaga.
Dude, the way you explained it sounded like when a kid is making up a scenario, you know, like when they're making like a really strong person and then like you're like, oh no, I'll just shoot it with my gun. It's like, no, actually, it's like bulletproof.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, so I'll just blow it up with rocket. It's like,
Right.
no, actually, it's just so strong that it can't get blown up.
Yeah, it's like he can just break your domain. He just can break the spirit. He can.
Yeah.
even though it's like they try to give. That's why I still feel like the explanation was left something to be desired because yeah, he said what that the cursed spear was inefficient energy output, like that it used too much, but I mean, it was still out there. It's not like it
Yorozu
disappeared.
uses.
That he ran out of too much cursed then. Like that. It seems to me that the issue in that would be that it would run out quickly. You know, not that it wouldn't still be a super powerful attack.
Yeah.
It's not making sense to me.
Yeah. No,
It's
this
not.
is.
I wanted to just move on, but
No, I agree with you. I
little
think this
weak
is one of
there,
those
GG.
things that sometimes Gege doesn't really explain all that well.
Even though that's all they do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he either explains something
I'm a
very,
little
very well
surprised.
or not well enough.
Maybe
So
we'll get an explanation in the first 2 pages of the next chapter.
probably, yeah.
He likes
I
to
feel
do
like
that.
we're gonna end up swapping off from here.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll cut to something else from here.
We're gonna get to Itadori, I'm pretty sure now.
Yeah.
And they're gonna be like, shit, what do we do now?
Yeah.
We are up Shit's Creek without a paddle.
Definitely.
I just want to see Gojo come back already. Bring back Gojo, please. Or Toto. I want to see Toto again too.
Gojo, please return. All right. Well, were those all your thoughts on Jujutsu Kaisen, Brian?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna close the show out with a couple of questions from Sketchy Mike. It's been a little bit, but since we've had a little bit of a short week this week, we figured we'd get into it a tiny bit. This is from way back in November, so we are a lot behind, but I do want to catch up. We have a couple of One Piece related questions and one Jujutsu Kaisen one, so that's kind of cool. He Sketchy Mike asks, from what we've seen so far, how do you feel about the Egghead Island chapters in One Piece and how they compare to other arcs / story sections? Anybody?
I'll take this one.
Oh yeah, go for it, Brian.
I think Egghead is such an odd fit compared to most arcs, if you guys understand what I mean. Like it feels like
No.
it feels like it's not like an actual arc. It feels like a segue to me, and it's like a bunch of info dump and stuff. It doesn't feel like it's an I don't know how to describe it. It doesn't feel like Wano. It doesn't feel like Alabasta or CP9, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It feels like a stepping stone kind of arc, right? Like an interlude.
I
Does that
agree.
make any sense?
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense for sure. I think
So,
Oda I feel like in this particular arc, Oda is multitasking.
yeah, not to say that this arc isn't fucking awesome, because it is.
It's in the best way possible, but
yeah, it's bringing like a lot of shit, but this is a prelude to the final saga if there ever was one, and I'm really excited to see what else comes out of this, you know, because we're getting not just a lot of revelations coming out of Egghead, we're getting a lot of revelations coming from all around the world too, and that alone makes this arc different, because most arcs will kind of like deprive you of what's going on in the rest of the world, right?
yeah,
But this arc keeps you attached to the rest of the world while you're in Egghead, which hasn't happened in a while, I think.
yeah. Josh, do you have anything to add on to the answer, or?
Could you repeat the question again?
He asks, from what we've seen so far, how do you feel about the Egghead Island chapters in One Piece and how they compare to other arcs and story sections?
Oh, yeah, I agree basically with both of you guys were saying. Obviously, Brian saying most of it, but yeah, the way he is sprinkling in the world building during this arc, like he usually has us like a little world building section in between arcs that he'll like kind of swap around through chapters, but he's doing it while Egghead is happening. So it is interesting. This is different. We are in new territory, I believe.
And I can't help but feel that this arc wouldn't be as good as it is now if we didn't have these kind of world building sprinkled in. Just because we were like removed from the rest of the world for how long? 5 years or some shit with Wano?
Yeah, pretty much.
like barely any understanding of what's going on outside in the real world.
Yeah,
Um,
outside of the tiny interlude chapters in between acts in Wano, but those are like 1 or 2 chapters at the most.
yeah, I feel like this was a necessary aspect of this arc that really needed to be there, um, because you know Oda knows that the rest of the world is really fucking interesting, and he can't keep it away from us forever.
No, definitely not. Yeah, I agree with pretty much everything Brian said. It is a very different type of arc. We've had arcs where we've cut over to different places in the world, but not to this extent. Um, and I feel like Egghead is more about the world than it is about what the events specifically of Egghead are.
That's true. I agree with that.
it is just like rolling the dice and setting the plot points in motion for what's to come. Because a lot has gone down. Things started moving really quickly after Wano, and I love it for it. So the second question is also related to One Piece. Staying with the topic, what do you think about the crew's designs in this arc versus previous ones, and who has your favorite design? In my opinion, it's obvious Oda was down bad when he came up with Nami and Robin's outfits. Also, Brook played himself this arc by staying on the Sunny. This was early on before Brook got onto the island. But sorry about that, Mike. But we finally got to it. Now we have full outfits for pretty much every member of the Straw Hats, actually. So, what do you guys think about the designs for the Egghead, the Straw Hat designs?
I think Zoro has the best drip out of everybody.
Yeah,
I think it's no contest. I feel like nobody else comes close to Zoro's.
I like Usopp's.
Zoro's look.
I think Usopp looks kind of cool.
Usopp has the fucking like vacation shirt, right?
No, that's Sanji. Sanji has like a weird Hawaiian shirt with shorts.
Oh, it's Sanji and Jinbei, right?
Yeah, I don't actually. Yeah, let me see what they look like because I know
You
there's a
need to go back
2-page.
and look. Yeah.
There's a 2-page spread somewhere with all of them. I'll let you know if I find it.
But Luffy always has drip in every arc he's in, so you can
Uh,
never
I'll
go wrong with
be-
Luffy.
I'll be honest. I don't care for them swapping outfits in every arc. It's a little annoying
What
Really?
do you mean?
because I like certain characters' designs, and it's like the problem is that One Piece arcs are so long, usually. So we'll see them in this getup for like a year and change, and then so it feels like you only get to see them in their normal getup for like less time. It's I don't know. Like even with Zoro, in my opinion, is like one of the best designs on the crew. Like it's really simple with the with the robe.
Yeah,
And
I
the
found it
swords and
on.
shit.
There's a 2-page spread on 1074, pages 8 and 9, that have like pretty much everybody. Yeah, I think Zoro probably has the best. I stand by it. I like Usopp's. I think Usopp looks cool.
I like Usopp a lot too. I think that's my favorite Usopp.
Frankie, I don't hate. This particular. I'm not like crazy about the Egghead Island ones, but they're not bad or anything. But they're not among my favorite. I guess I actually kind of like it when the crew like kind of changes to blend in with the island. It's almost like Kingdom
Mhm.
Hearts in that way. When you go to a new world and they look different.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that too.
But yeah, Usopp and Zoro are my guys. Maybe Frankie in third place.
But I will agree that compared to most arcs, they are not the drippiest here on Egghead Island for sure.
Yeah. Versus previous ones, yeah, it's not like my favorite. I feel like they really only started like super changing everybody's clothes during the New World. I don't think they really changed.
Now they changed in Alabasta.
They did change in Alabasta, but not really since. Like, I guess the CP9, the Enies Lobby arc outfits, like Zoro's jacket combo thing, that was super cool. I love Usopp's Thriller Bark look. That was cool.
Oh yeah, they changed during Thriller Bark too, right?
Yeah, most of them did. You know, Usopp had like that cool like feather hat thing going.
Oh yeah, I liked his design too. Thriller bark.
Yeah. But yeah, it's not my favorite change. I feel like Frankie's look in Dressrosa was cool. He had like the gun
Just
hair that I really liked.
I
Mhm.
just wonder what they're gonna wear in Elbaf.
Probably Viking clothes, which would I guess be cool.
I
The
guess
Oda
didn't
was
they wear something
obviously
similar to
down
that?
bad.
Yeah, Nami and Robin's looks were crazy.
Yeah.
And they're barely
A lot
wearing.
of
Why did
people.
Jinbei and Luffy? I mean, why did Jinbei and Sanji get Hawaiian shirts? I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get that. Me, I don't get that.
I
I
think it
don't
makes
get
sense for
that design.
Jinbei, kind of, sort of, because that's kind of Jinbei's aesthetic is kind of a robe or something like that. I think it works in that regard. But Sanji, I guess it works for
But
Sanji.
why not make it black? Everybody else's is black.
I
Like
don't
they
know.
have that.
Yeah, Sanji and
It does not fit the aesthetic at all.
Sanji and Jinbei's is weird, but I feel like it fits better on Jinbei than it does Sanji. Jinbei looks kind of
Yeah,
cool.
I agree. You know, I'll tell you, I don't have an issue with any of those designs.
No, not
It's
really.
just that it doesn't fit.
Yeah, if we're like comparing and really judging, being that picky or whatever, it is weird. I feel like Sanji just wore his own shirt. He's like, I'm not wearing all that. And Jinbei's the same way.
Yeah. It's just weird that they both had the same one.
You know what's funny? I like this same chapter. I'm seeing the moment where York was frozen by Boa Hancock's thing. You know, as per her plan.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, that was smart. Now that I'm looking back, I was like, damn, that was a really good plan. Because nobody even asks about her after that. They're just so panicked dealing with this Boa Hancock thing. Anyway, I'm getting a little sidetracked. But yeah, that's our question for that one. Final question for the day. I've been catching up to Jujutsu Kaisen, and just hit the start of the Culling game. Jujutsu Kaisen slowly climbing up the ranks of my favorite ongoing series. Where does it rank for y'all, and what do you see for the future of the series? Does anybody want to tackle it first, or should I?
Wait, say that question
What
again.
series?
He said I'm gonna read it again. I've been catching up to Jujutsu Kaisen and just hit the start of the Culling game. Jujutsu Kaisen is slowly climbing up the ranks of my favorite ongoing series. Where does it rank for y'all, and what do you see for the future of the series?
Oh,
Ooh,
Jujutsu
that's tough.
Kaisen.
I'd say oh shit. All right, if Hunter x Hunter is not around, it's 2. I'll say that. Because like Jujutsu Kaisen has to be the most like next to One Piece, it has to be the most consistent manga I've ever read, I think. Like it's not often that Jujutsu Kaisen has like a bad chapter or isn't entertaining. Like Jujutsu Kaisen always has something to glean from every chapter. And its art is unique and it's cinematic and it just prioritizes fluidity and motion over detail um and it pays off. Like it has some of the most unique action set pieces that most manga don't have or haven't been able to do, because a lot of them focus on the flair of it, on the looks. And similar to My Hero Academia, even though My Hero is extremely like, even though the art is extremely well done, um Jujutsu Kaisen excels at making these set pieces feel grounded and real and gritty. And I feel like it has huge fucking potential to be one of the best to ever do it. Like a modern day Jujutsu Kaisen. Not a modern day Jujutsu Kaisen, a modern day Hunter x Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
So those are my thoughts. I think it could really get up there in the history books.
Josh, do you have any thoughts, or do you want me to go first?
Yeah, and they're pretty quick. So I'm not sure if I can give Jujutsu Kaisen a number rank, but I will say this: as far as the future goes, I'm looking forward to continue to read the series, but it does make me a little upset that he plans to end it relatively soon. I mean, I
Yeah.
know a lot of authors had that mindset when they, go on with their story that it's only going to be so long, and then circumstances kind of extending the life of the manga. But I don't know. I think with this one, I think there is a point he's getting to, and it seems like it's much more realistic that we'll get a part two or some other spin-off to Jujutsu Kaisen before he just extends it just for the sake of it.
Hmm.
I think it's more profitable that way too. Not that I can really speak on it. So, but Jujutsu Kaisen is in right now my top three favorites. I can't count Hunter x Hunter right now. It's on hiatus. That's just how it works. But World Trigger, One Piece, Jujutsu, there you go.
Yeah.
It's top three.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I can't say much more than that. I actually agree. If you listen to the show for any extended period of time, Jujutsu Kaisen is one of the more consistently praised ones. Um, and it's one of those ones that I'm actually very excited to like talk about on the show because there's just like a lot of detail to this show to really discuss, and I think the power system is among the more interesting that I've read in a long time. Uh, there's just so much going for Jujutsu Kaisen, and it's like it's one of those things that it's like it's simple in like overall plot, but it's so complex at the same time. Um,
Mm.
like if you dig into the layers of what everything means and lore and technique, all that stuff, it's a fun series to read. Uh,
Yeah.
it's funny because like there's the way they talk about techniques is almost like kind of like athletic or scientific type of thing. You know, like you don't.
Yeah.
It's not just who has the best powers win. It's just kind of the application of any given attack.
Right. Like it matters. Like matchups matter. Like cursed ability types.
Hmm.
The strongest sorcerers are probably the ones that can where their abilities are most applicable in various circumstances. Like the most what's the word I'm looking for? Versatile.
Yeah, and it's also
Whoever's the most
affinity for.
adaptive and versatile.
Yeah, it's also like affinity for it. Like there's people who are just like perfect matches for their techniques. You have
Hmm.
like Hikari is like the perfect example where like his power could be a huge detriment to himself, but he is also just naturally weirdly a lucky guy. So things just kind of work out for him.
I feel
Yeah,
like
that's funny.
I feel like Hikari's curse technique was the start of the series kind of truly like expanding its horizons when it comes to like the limits of curse technique,
Hmm.
How
like that.
abstract they can get.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like Hikari's is the most similar to Nen that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
for
agree.
sure. And because Nen is so specific, it is like it can be anything.
Yeah.
Well, it's so unspecific.
Well,
Like
it's like
the abilities become specific, but there's just no limit. Anything that happens, like sorcery.
yeah, it's just like a rigid power system. It's just fun to read. It's like reading. It's hard to explain how it is to read these explanations for abilities, but it's always just fun to read, and that's why I would put it pretty high. And I think obviously has the potential to be one of the greats of all time. Uh, I don't know if it has necessarily a year left, like Akutami says, but you know, it could be more, and I hope so. It is. So
I hope so. It is too.
I guess it's a weird way to say it, but I hope so. It is. Um, but yeah, that's where we rank it. I guess that's where it compares. I don't have a number rank for it either, but it is up there. It is one of the series I'm very excited to read week to week and talk about on the show. So yeah, You guys have any rebuttals? Anything else to add?
Nopers.
Nope.
All right. Well, then
I don't have any stratagems.
no stratagems for me either. So let's wrap it up. That has been our show. Thank you guys so much for listening, as per usual, and for again sticking with us for our audio only era of the show. I'll probably be uploading everything we've been recording up to now on our YouTube channel, but they won't have like a very strong video component to it. It'll just be like probably just a thumbnail and the audio, if that works for you, if you're just like having YouTube stuff going in the background like I do sometimes. So I'll be uploading those relatively soon. But until then, you could find me at the Chris Aspinall on Twitter and Instagram, Josh at JDCole_37 on Instagram, at New Jump City Josh on Twitter, Brian at B.ESP on Twitter and Instagram. You could also catch him where he's streaming on twitch.tv/It's Punchline. Follow the show itself at New Jump City on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok. Email us at newjumpcitypod@gmail.com with any questions, suggestions, anything you guys want us to talk about. Keep them coming, because I think like we're coming up on being current. I think we have like maybe 1 or 2 emails left until we're caught up with Mike's questions. So
Nice.
I do want to stock up again. He is sending us a bunch, so we have a little bit going on. Well, we actually have a little bit more than I thought, but still, send them. Whatever, fuck it. We'll get to it when we get to it. We'll probably like try to fit in a bit more of these question corners as we go forward. So email us. Subscribe to us on YouTube, please. Don't let the algorithm forget about us. We need it. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. And thank you guys so much for joining us. We will be back next week. Stay safe, New Jump citizens.
Peace.